Let's see. What criteria are you using to determine whether recycled paper can re-enter the production cycle or has reached the end of its life cycle?
If it's a clean fiber, you can recycle it. I don't know, Keegan.
Yeah, it's a it's specific to the individual production equipment at each location, what types of fibers they're able to uh, de-ink or clean. It's not so much damage to the fibers as contamination to the fibers that becomes a problem.
Thank you. Keeping it with Keegan, can you talk about the challenges of labeling molded fiber with your brand and the BPS certification mark and how Huramaki has overcome those to produce readable markings?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for the in mold dried articles, where you're pressing an article and it dries to a pretty close form, we're generally able to emboss those with a fairly fine detail. But for the coarser articles like egg cartons and 4-cup carriers, uh, that's more of a problem. In some cases, we're able to do it. In other cases, like with a 4-cup carrier, there's just not any flat surfaces on there to be able to emboss. And we have managed to get exemptions from BPI for the labeling requirements for those types of articles.
Thank you. We're keeping it with molded fiber, so maybe this can also jump to somebody else. But we've heard that molded fiber takes a pretty long time to break down in commercial composting facilities. And perhaps you touched on it when you were talking about lignin, but any thoughts to add there?
Uh, yeah, I think it's not different than any paper of the same basis weight, or probably not different than wood of the same basis weight, if not, except that you don't measure wood in basis weights. Uh, you know, Melissa was talking about all the different forest products that are out there, and most of them aren't compostable. That's because if you make a wooden chair, it's just not going to break down in the time uh, and the conditions that are available in commercial composting facilities. If you stuck it out in the woods, it will eventually break down. And it's the same as molded fiber or paper products. It's just a question of time. And the, the fungi that break down lignin tend to be killed at high temperatures. So if you're trying to push a lot of throughput through a industrial composting facility, it tends to kill the very fungi that break down lignins.
Yeah, and if I can add, when I teach and others teach the CREF's compost operations training course and other training courses out there, we do talk about time and temperature and this curing phase, which comes after the active, thermophilic high temperature phase, where we have the fungi go to work, and the bacteria are not as active, and then the fungi can break down those harder to break down carbohydrates, like lignin. Um, so thank you, Keegan. So I think this question is for Nicole. I think the next two. Are buyers informed that these products will not be composted if they do not participate in composting services? This person, Elena, knows many businesses that buy these products, but they don't separate their food waste to go to a composting facility at all.
So yeah, we do talk with buyers that, right, if they don't have commercial access to commercial composting, that these items will end up in the landfill. I think what we also talk about with buyers is that we know I talked about beginning of life and end of life, and so there is beginning of life benefits to using products that are compostable fiber or bioplastic. So while you might not get the end of life benefit, you still do get some beginning of life opportunities.
And another one. What's in the pipeline for compostable fiber products? What challenges are you working to address? I think this is just open for the three of you.
Yeah. I think for us, we've spent a lot of time, and we continue to spend a lot of time looking at different shapes, honestly, of molded fiber, and how they can be used in different applications. It's molded fiber is a very popular product line for us, and so it's traditionally been used in plates and clamshells as takeout options. But can we start looking at them in grocery store environments that require a bit more challenging applications? And so that's where we're spending a lot of our time recently.
Keegan or Melissa, is there anything you would like to add?
I think the biggest one that I see the industry tackling right now is hot cups. And I know, Eco Products has options with PLA, but I think the industry is still struggling with how do we how do we create a barrier for hot cups that will convert at the same speeds as LDPE? And that's a huge challenge for the industry. But I mean, there continues to be work in this space. There's been a countless number of products that are coming to market that people are trying to get into this space, and we're just waiting for one of those to be extremely successful. So I think as people continue to run trials and create the technology, at some point we're going to be successful in creating a LDPE alternative for hot cups, and that will change that category. I think that's one of the most critical things that we are trying to do is category by category change, where if everything from a product category can be converted to compostable, then that reduces consumer confusion and being able to dispose of that in the correct end of life situation. So I think that it's important for us to, as an industry, tackle these different categories together.
Thank you. And Keegan?
Yeah, I think the developments in barrier properties that both of them already kind of mentioned are key to the future expansion of different applications in this industry.
Thank you. Follow up for Keegan on a question. I don't know to which one, but what's the cost and timing difference for the two types of drying? Oh, there we go. For molded fiber, just general thoughts there.
I don't think I'm going to talk about costs, but in general, if you think of it this way, if your two ways of cooking your pasta are you can either put it in the oven and bake it, or you can put it in a waffle iron. It's going to dry a lot faster in the waffle oven, in the waffle iron. The direct contact conducts heat much faster than convection air.
Thank you. Another one, what criteria do you use when choosing the raw materials? I think, Melissa, you mentioned one geography and the other one technical performance.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. It really depends on the final product that you're making, right? So, if you're making printing and writing grades, maybe you want short fibers that are highly refined, and you can lay those in an extremely smooth surface when you're, making them on a former, versus if you're making OCC box board, right? You don't need bleached fiber, you don't need the printing capabilities, you just want strength, strength, strength. So you're going to pick a softwood fiber that has extremely, longer fiber, that has longer fibers, and the refining degree is going to be trying to get as much hydrogen bonding as possible, but you don't want to interrupt the natural strength of that fiber. So, you can go completely different directions depending on that end product.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I guess I would also add economics, right? So when we talk about barrier applications and different coatings, I think we're looking at economics too, because we don't want to put something in the market that completely is unattainable from a sell price perspective. So I would add that as well.
So we've run out of time to answer more questions that are more open. So what we're gonna do is I'll work with Gigi and Leslie to send these to our presenters and provide answers. And I don't know how we're gonna disseminate them. Maybe email people. We'll figure it out. But I just have one last question for you all. What's the last thing that you want to share with the audience as we close? And we can start backwards. We'll start with Nicole and then Keegan, then Melissa.
Yeah, I guess the last thing that I want to share with the audience, right, is my view at Eco Products is that compostable packaging helps divert food waste from the landfill, and that's the reason that we do all of this. So I'll leave it with that.
Yeah, I want to say paper was invented over 1,000 years ago, and molded fiber was invented over 100 years ago. And the processes really haven't changed that much since then. They've gotten faster and bigger, but the general raw materials and the general process is still the same.
And I was going to talk about category conversion, but I already did, so I'll give it back to you, Jorge.
Perfect. Thank you. To everybody here in the audience, please check out the other webinars. There's some questions here that are probably better for some other speakers. Reach out if you would like to get in contact with any of them. I'd be happy to make introductions as well. Leslie can do that as well. So just reach out to BPI. Again, the best thing that we can do is all talk with one another and ask good questions, hard questions, and figure out how to move forward all together. So I want to thank you all for your time, and we'll call it a wrap up.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Safe travels, Keegan. Thank you all. Bye.